Hey, how's it going? I have some cards, and I also wanted to talk about something I wrote, which I guess I'll link that to the video. But I was sitting here going, I already forgot what it was about. I only had to rewrite it 3 times because it didn't want to upload to Substack, and so then I put it on a different platform, and then I had to do 2/3 of it again, but the other place let me upload it because it works properly. Anyway, you'd think I would remember. I'm tired. I was about to go to bed, and I was like, oh wait, I'm not done. I wanted to make a recording, so I'm gonna perk up and do video. Here's page 1. Okay, so yeah, it was shortcuts and short-sighted agreements. Short-sighted, like you didn't look very far into the future when you agreed to something. So, it talks about how, okay, so I didn't actually mention this in there, but it talks about how I was thinking about the 3 days of darkness, which people that know about the shift and the solar flash, the event it's called, they will be familiar with, what did I just say? See, I'm already forgetting. What did I just say? They'll be familiar with the 3 days of darkness. So that's like something that's supposed to happen when the planet ascends. Although, when I first got that information, it didn't come across to me as it being like a bigger picture connected to everybody else on the whole world. We're all one type thing, it was very, it seemed to me, based on an individual. And so both things are true. I think that like anything else you're learning about, it was kind of just dumbed down, the concepts and like tenets and, I don't want to say rules, but I guess just things that are always the same when it comes to this particular thing in question. So, and it talks about what I wrote. I was talking about how when I learned about the 3 days of darkness, it was this, and I learned this from seeing it in a video online, so I'm not the only one that learned this, right? And it basically said that, God, it's so long ago now, I don't really remember exactly, but it was like, when you're going through your ascension thing, there's going to be a 3 days of darkness, and there was a lot of conversation about it, amongst the people that I was talking to online at the time. But everyone seemed to agree, to understand that it would just like it would be like a huge EMP, electromagnetic pulse, which makes things that are electric no longer work. So everything that would be plugged in or need a battery, or plugged in mainly, but I think just stuff, electric devices and things like that, appliances, cars, planes, things in hospitals that are like running to keep people alive, those things would like shut off. And not only that, like all man-made materials, like anything that wasn't like wood or glass or stone or some kind of fabric, natural fabric, like no plastic polyester, would like all of those things, all the man-made stuff would disintegrate. So like if you were sitting on a chair that had any of those things in there, you know, you better hope that like whatever you're sitting, like you weren't sitting on one of those plastic outside chairs, you know. So turns out years later, and it'd be almost a decade at this point since I learned what I just said, that is not how it's gonna go. In fact, that I don't even know, like they didn't, I learned what I'm about to say from watching Galactic Federation Federation of Light videos, so just citing that. But what they had to say about it was that they're just all so bluntly. I guess they had talked about it before, and I must not have gotten the memo. But they're all so. When the 14 days of darkness happens, and I'm like 14. But I didn't finish telling you what happens when it goes dark. 3 days, dark day, 14 days, like, well, I'm not going to say in the 14 days because that's just something completely other than what I had learned at the time. So what happened to us is we're just like sitting there in hopefully our mainly wooden and metal chair or whatever. And, you know, if your clothes weren't, like, made out of natural materials, I guess you'd just be nude. And, you know, you wouldn't want to get up. Like, you wouldn't, like, you'd be able to, but I don't know. They made it sound like you were really sluggish or heavily drugged, heavily sedated or something. And they never addressed, like, I think they addressed eating. And when I say they now, I'm talking about this first perception of the 3 days of darkness that I learned online. And they did address, like, whether or not you would eat. They were like, you won't be hungry, you won't want to eat. You know, they didn't mention having to hydrate. They didn't mention having to make any kind of deposits coming out of the other end for post-eating and drinking, like your cloaca. So, that is, of course, a question. Well, not of course, I shouldn't say that because you don't know what I'm thinking about. But I think, like, I want to ask those questions. Not so much about the eating, although, yeah, sure, you know, for 3 days, you would want a little snack, right? But for 14... different thing. So, okay, I guess I'm done with the 3 days of darkness. Like, none of that is apparently what it was ever about. And so, when who was talking, I don't remember that. Sometimes it's the Arcturians being channeled through someone, or it's Palladians and they're also channeled, and so oh, there's Lyrans and other races. So I don't remember exactly which one was talking when they were talking, when they said this, but they're like, yes, you've probably heard of the 14 days of darkness, I believe is how they started off. So, or the 3 days of darkness, they think it's probably been, you know, people probably just know about it. But they were like, we want to talk to you about the 14 days of darkness. And so what that ended up being about was like unplugging basically all of the electric stuff in your house, unless you're going to use it. And, you know, taking like doing like a mobile phone fast so that you're not scrolling and looking and obsessing with the thing like we normally do. And I was like, that. She's like, it was a female. She was like, that's what we're talking about, is going dark that way. And I was all, huh, okay. Better, much better than the other thing. And so there's a lot of reasons not to have them on and around us all the time, our phones. They radiate, they emit, like radiation, kind of, like low grade, obviously. Like, people can be around it, but have we really gotten down to the brass tacks of just what kind of cancers have, like, been on the rise since we've all had a phone on us, or in our pocket, in our purse, whatever, in the car, within arm's reach, so. And I kind of feel like it's definitely good to have whatever it's doing around you. If you're gonna have it close, do that in moderation. Because to me, it's just kind of weird. They get too hot, and then I just remembered that they have been known to just suddenly ignite, like, in your pocket, and it's not funny, though, because the people that it happens to get burned pretty bad. Who wants that? No one. So, yeah, it would be good for us all, I think, to definitely, like, take some, breaks from it. And she talked about some other reasons for us to do that would be beneficial for us, and that is obviously to get all of that fake news out of your brain for a little while. Fake news, real news, gossip, death, doom, and terror. Like, there's a lot of other stuff to watch on there besides the news. And I don't just mean like broadcast news or wherever is reporting the news. I just mean, like, there's a lot of negativity on there, so just places where they talk about the news can lately more and more just be more like, it just makes me tired, makes me sad. I just turn it off. I don't even really watch it. I've become so fussy. It's weird, 'cause I guess I was just under sedation myself, and everything was okay. Everything was, sure, I'll accept this. Let me consult my notes. You know what? I'm just gonna leave it alone, and I'll link it. But it kind of encapsulated a lot of things I've been thinking about, and I hadn't really formulated into something. It hadn't gelled, so it has there. I don't know why. Like, if I look at my own writing right now, everything is just going like this. I don't know, like, I am tired. So, I'm gonna move to the cards, which I have not looked at yet, but, hold on. Just give me a second so I can try and refresh my brain, because I keep wanting to refer to what I wrote, but I don't remember, so hold on. Come on. Okay, I guess this is gonna be a little scatterbrain, but, something else that I was talking about was, like, God, I cannot keep anything in my brain for more than 2 seconds. So one thing was about the phones. And how they, what they do to us, you know, when we're on them so much. And, you know, why it would be a good reason. It would be good for our mental and physical health to put them down for a while, because they have created like a man-made veil between us and who we were before we had all this technology, platforms, social platforms, and just all of the different places you can visit, like YouTube or TikTok or any one of those type of social networks that, you know, there's a lot of information exchanged, there's a lot presented. You know, everyone's different. They do different things, the platform. So there's just a lot to overwhelm you and to, like, overstimulate you. And we're kind of like that all the time. But I was thinking about, like, you know, I can remember a time when we had none of that stuff. There was no cell phone, there was no personal computer, there was no laptop, there was no internet. Different times. You know, I don't know that I can look back and just be all, except for like my personal life, look back at history and go, it was a great time, like of the good old days, because there was, I don't know, after a certain point, I think, like after the 50s, I guess when people lost that, they kind of lost their minds a little bit, and, you know, the world, maybe because of the perception of that loss of, like, you could depend on a job, and things were reasonably priced, and, you know, at least on television, when it wasn't, like, bad things about black people in, like, the 60s and the 70s, and by bad I mean something happening to them as a result of their being black, you know. These things happen, like, all over to black people, but this was, like, mainly things happening in the South that kind of the rest of the country, except for pockets of people that were fine with what happened to, you know, black people in the South, like the lynchings and the segregation, and it was just, like, bad for them there in the South, and, I mean, for a long time, not great anywhere, but now I lost track of what I was saying. What? Maybe I should not be trying to do this right now. I really cannot remember. Oh, no. Oh, before we had all of the electronics. So, I mean, you imagine, like, how long have you had a phone? I've had a bunch of phones now, but that's because I keep getting lemons. But I only got my first phone, like, under 10 years ago. So, it's... I'm, like... I've made, like, a concerted effort not to be, like, attached to the hip by the thing. But the longer I have it, the harder it is to resist. And I'm, you know, the less I'm even bothering to try. But I have been making an effort to just put it down and to just get it out of my field for a while, because that's got to be healing. Like, I really do feel like these things emit stuff, and pretty much everything electric in here probably is doing something to you that is not great because of long-term exposure or whatever it is. even though I don't have and haven't had anything that I can attribute to having this stuff in close proximity to me, again, putting the phones down for 14 days and really just like, it's going to be interesting because I can't like put it somewhere I can't hear it because it's my only phone. I don't have a landline anymore. And so I immediately was experiencing a little bit of anxiety. Like, and I was like, well, what if I don't do it? What if I don't, do the fast? Maybe I don't need to. Like, because one thing I talked about that I was writing that I remember is I spend a lot of time in front of the thing, but I make sure to intersperse more stuff that makes me laugh, which there's a lot I can find, thankfully, than with stuff that makes me angry or argumentative, want to, like, jump on there and, like, I don't like to read the comment section because it says things that piss me off because, well, various reasons, and so I have taken to turning the phone sideways so I don't have to see that. But that is one way that I avoid getting feelings that I don't need to be having because of the phone. I just like literally flip the script so I can't see it. And it's like a great metaphor for just sort of making those adjustments, those minor adjustments that really can make a big difference in social situations, for instance. So that is the kind of thing that I was writing about. I'll link it if I remember. I hope I remember. I'll remember. Hopefully I'll remember at the same time I'm doing the video here, putting it up to upload. I'll do my best. So anyway, let's see what the cards have to say. Here's the first one. Speak up and out. Sorry, I'm showing you the picture. Wow, I just noticed that this planet that's hitting this other planet, this little red one with lights in it, well, it looks like it has lights in it. This guy right here. I never noticed that before. I was looking at something earlier that was like a ET that had a very similar color scheme happening in the front of its face. I think it was its face. I just like to clock things that are sort of similar or strongly similar. Okay, so the card reads, speak up and speak out. Let your voice be heard loud and clear. That is like I feel a sign of the times, it is, I think probably, it's definitely an all hands on deck situation. And I know, like, I personally am not going to go to a demonstration, and I'm not going to go around with a personal sign or something making any kind of announcement. That is not how I'm going to approach the situation. It might be different if I was able, but since I'm not, I don't want to be caught in any stampedes. I don't want to be in anyone's way. I don't want to, be in baton's link of a police officer doing crowd control. Like, I don't want to get anywhere near any of that stuff. And it's not my way to be super, like, demonstrative activist person. There are other ways to do it. Ways that some people might think are the equivalent of empty thought and prayers, but there is reason to believe, not just mine, not just a bunch of other people that meditate, scientific, there's empirical evidence of thoughts and prayers, meditation actually making a difference, particularly when there are multiple people focused on the same subject. And, you know, that's one way. But I always say, like, I don't think we should, like, get mad at the way other people are doing it, if, you know, because if they think that you're not, like, angry enough or resisting hard enough, you're, like, hurting everybody and everything, and no, I don't think that's the case, because just because what someone else is doing looks different doesn't mean it's ineffective. And I think we give more power to each other by also understanding that maybe, you know, there's more than one way to skin a cat. You know, you have several approaches. That way, one or more fails, you have one or more options, backup options. So, and you can still, in any of these guises, speak up and speak out and be heard to, you know, I'm not going to say multitudes of people, but if your message is good, it'll get repeated. So let your voice be heard loud and clear. Say what you mean what you say, speak clearly and with precision as best you can, because, boy, save yourself a lot of time. Okay. Here is the next card. It's got the squash ball planet. Okay, I'm going to read it for you, and it says, say goodbye to your past and leave the baggage behind for good. I am reminded of, I think it is 1829, the Taylor Sheridan Yellowstone prequel movie series. Whatever the thing is. And in one part of it, oh man, I haven't watched it in so long I can't remember any of the characters' names. Well, Kevin, I'm getting the last name of every Kevin but this one. The actor, Kevin Mick something? Seriously, brain? Okay. Be right with you. Before I could even get to Google Kevin Costner. So, the young lady who plays, like, his dead great aunt or something, grand aunt, some family of his, I guess aunt, sister. Well, that would make, so that was, yeah, it would be like some kind of great aunt or something. And she was going off with this young cowboy, and they were gonna, like, run off and, you know, like, elope, I guess, whatever. But they were gonna go, like, be together, and, she was going to bring, because she was a city girl, and she came from back east. New York City. Not New York City. Sorry. She came with a bunch of stuff, like trunks and steamer things. I don't know. I don't have luggage. I don't even know if it was steamer trunk, I think it is. But something big, and you needed a wagon just for her wardrobe. Just for her wardrobe. And he was like, no. I think the guy, I'm not going to call him a brave. I think he was, like, kind of domesticated partially. But he's like, oh, he laughed. I think it would be funny. It would have been a comical moment. But he was like, you can't bring all of that with you. You can bring whatever you can carry on the horse. And she's like, the what? Like looking at her stuff and the horse and going, oh man, I can't bring shit. It's good though. I mean, what's her name? Marie Honda. The one that says if what you have doesn't give you joy, get rid of it. You know, maybe she's got something there when it comes to traveling with your belongings on horseback. But it's not about giving you joy. It's about what you can carry, what you can comfortably carry. Which, you know, that's an interesting idea now that I have mentioned it. What can you comfortably carry? That is maybe a thought to have when you are, like, dealing with some kind of your own emotional baggage. Like, just to get an idea of, like a gauge. How much of this should I be taking on? You know, learn to pare down, you know, your life to, you know, the bare necessities, which I think, to me, it automatically sounds like, oh man, you got barely anything at all. You're like poverty stricken, when the bare necessities could just mean only the stuff that you need. Like, everything else is not necessary. It's actually, it's in the way. It's cumbersome. You don't need it. That kind of tidiness is like, it can extend to your thought and your actions, and that's probably, like, that is sounding really good to me, because it's not anything like how I am. Okay, so, here's, okay. My eyes are playing all kinds of tricks on me. It looks like there's an astronaut on there. I don't know what world he's on. He, she. I can tell it's from the back of that person, so I don't know what gender it is. What I do know is, anywhere that I know that somebody dressed like that from here, planet Earth, can go to the best of my knowledge, it's not right in the, like, above low Earth orbit. I don't think we have anything that color, that close, you know, or that big to be far away and still look close. Like, I don't think that's our neighborhood. Let's see what the card says. Stop pushing against what is. Align with it and move on. I feel like somewhere in what I wrote there was something like that. But you know what? If you want to know, you're going to have to... You know what? If I forget, I have to say, it's on WordPress already and Substack. I couldn't upload it directly onto Substack. I had to, like, do it on WordPress and then share that onto over there. But if you're curious, that's where it'll be. Should I forget to link it, and I'll probably remember, but I might not remember right away. Like, I'm really getting sleepy. Okay, so the next card is this here one. Unusual cloud formation, and that's water, in case you can't make it out. So I don't know of anywhere here that looks like that, but I haven't been everywhere here on this planet, so I might have missed that particular looking thing. Appearance? I could well have missed that occurring somewhere. So I'm looking at this, and I'm going to read it, and it says, guilt is a normal feeling. Just breathe in and let it go. But I'm looking at it saying guilt is a normal feeling, and I'm thinking again of baggage. Like, we weren't really talking about it, but I mean, we were, like, literally talking about it with the young lady wanting to bring the steamer trunks on her horse. But in this case, the baggage, I feel like, what the guilt is a normal feeling. What that would apply to is guilt, or is baggage you've been carrying around, and you know that you don't have to be carrying it around. So it's why we do that. It's usually, for some reason, even if it's inconvenient and cumbersome, it's comfortable and familiar, so you don't want to let go of it. Or it could be guilt that you have it at all. Like, we are so weird, we human peoples. We get all kinds of crazy thoughts thinking that people are doing things that we have no evidence of. We don't know if they're actually doing that, or if it's just something we're dreaming up ourselves, which I know I do a lot. Like, you think the world is confusing enough to figure out what's right? Try going in my brain and doing both. That's crazy. I know you all have brains too. I just don't know how nutty you are. So the rest of it says, just breathe in and let go. And if you took that literally, also look, you're in the water, you're floating, and maybe it's your baggage that's keeping you afloat. But maybe you don't need to hang on to all of it, because I'm picturing someone with like a suitcase in each hand and a duffel bag in both toes of each foot. You know, just, you got so much, almost spit out my teeth. You got so much crap that you're trying to keep track of, when really what you should be paying attention to in this situation is staying afloat, keeping your head above water. And so you kind of need your limbs to tread water. And maybe the guilt comes from not being able to let go, even in a situation as dire as that. It's like, your stuff, even if you get home with it, it's going to be ruined. It's going to have gotten salt water soaked and God knows what else. Like, I know it's not a perishable food, but I just feel like whatever you would have had in that luggage, whatever you had in there would be damaged and not worth keeping. And so I just had, whoa, a vision of like all of those hands, all of those digits holding on to baggage, just letting go, because that is upside down. Because what is the point of holding on to it if you're out in the ocean and what you see on every horizon is just more water? I mean, hold on to what's going to keep your head above water, but don't let the rest of it stop you from being able to tread water until the situation changes. But a moment of relief I felt immediately when I saw, ooh, I'm getting a chill, like hands full of baggage in the water, and just breathe in and let go. And releasing, just opening your hands, and then it's just gone into the unfathomable depths. The Johnny depths. Into the depths. You know, under the waves, below in the deep. Alright, last card. Ooh, okay. I was just kind of tripping out how, look how far back that light is in that helmet. Where is this astronaut's head? Or is it like the is it like the haunted castle at Disneyland? where some of the ghosts are that color, that green, that ghostly green. Oh, I guess it's kind of Matrix green too, huh? Anyway, this very kind of futuristic looking, I mean, obviously the astronaut and like the keyboard not so much, but the stuff over here, I guess the decor, the home temperature controls is like what the future looked like in the 50s. It's futuristic. It's not accurate. Okay, so this one says, find ways to lighten up. Oh, come on. Find ways to lighten up and not take everything seriously. Did you already see what it said? Because I didn't. You know, it's like, oh my god. So the guy just looks like a mannequin. Like there's not even any, there's not even an android in there. Like it's, look at that. It's like it's just stuffed with pillows. And then I looked at the laptop thing and it looks kind of like it's a plushie too. What is happening here? Why is it all of the, oh, it's, it's a humanoid astronaut-shaped body pillow. Are you making fun of me, cards, that I need to go to sleep and that I'm a silly Billy? Hey, I don't have to be tired to be this giddy. It just comes naturally. Okay. Whoa, that was kooky. Thank you and good night.